be right here with you. In this world of ticking clocks, I hope I'm getting through. So close your eyes. Do you feel the same? Only thing that matters without change. I will let you into my mind's deep. Recover the fallen tears that have been long asleep. Lights are out and heaven's open. We can be everything we want. Oh, stop the clocks, the bees are humming in between the contrasts of our souls. Stop the clocks, the bees are humming in between the contrasts of our soul. Get out of your skin. Only this matters. Let it in.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Surprise Your Spirit show. I am Kendra, your host from Surprise Your Spirit. I want to welcome anyone new who is joining and listening to the show for the first time this wonderful Thursday evening. And I would like to welcome back any of the regular listeners as well. For anyone who is new to the show and doesn't know the format or what my show is all about, my show is all about all things spiritual, all things energy, all things new age, anything really that information, concepts, ideas that may be possibly controversial. If you're new to these sorts of things, but anything that can help you to give you tools, ideas, ways of thinking to add to more joy on your journey, to help make your journey here more easily, to help shift your perspective to a higher perspective, to help you to see things from another perspective that can help you instead of harm you. That is what my show is all about. A little bit about me. I am a natural born energy healer from Saskatchewan, Canada. I am a psychic medium, although I do prefer the word intuitive reader, as I find it scares people a little bit less, although generally people are just scared regardless. Um, I do hands-on healing in person. I also can do distance healing. I teach a lot of workshops on how to trust your intuition, how to work with the universe, how to work with energies. I teach tarot classes and oracle classes. I do souls awareness sessions, which is a form of life coaching, but helping you to tap into your intuition and learn to trust your own knowing and to learn to trust your own truth. And so that is who I am. You can find me at www.surpriseyourspirit.com. You can also find me on Facebook at Surprise Your Spirit. I am on Instagram at Surprise Your Spirit. I'm also on Twitter at Kendra at Surprise Your Spirit as well. And I also do have a YouTube channel. Also, and you can find me here every Thursday evening on the OTCR Off the Cuff Radio. So I was supposed to have a guest this evening. The plan was to have Richard Gordon, the founder of Quantum Touch Healing. But to be honest, I'm not sure where he is or if there's been some miscommunication. So we'll just hang out and pass some time and see if he does join us eventually. If not, we may have to look at what happened and try to rebook him. But just for a little bit, for anyone who is wondering about quantum touch, it is a healing modality. It was created by Richard Gordon. He has written a few books. One is Quantum Touch, The Power to Heal. It comes in 17 languages. And Your Healing Hands, The Polarity Experience is also printed in 10 languages. So if anyone is curious about quantum touch healing, what it has to offer, those are some best-selling books that he has written that you can check out. He does have a newest book available called The Secret Nature of Matter for anyone who is wondering. If you want to learn more about quantum touch, you can follow Quantum Touch at Twitter. On Twitter, they also have a YouTube channel, which is www.youtube.com//quantum touch. You can check it out there, and you just type it into Google. There's tons of information out there to learn a little bit about quantum touch. I don't really want to get into it because I do want to save some of that to hopefully be able to connect with Richard at some point to discuss quantum touch healing, but it is a wonderful energy healing modality. I know a lot of people who do use it, who have been trained in it in their energy healing practices. So now moving on from that, I did not actually plan anything extra for tonight's show, which is a little bit unlike me, but it happens. So what I'm just going to talk about is I've been quite busy. I've been less active on Facebook than I was previously up until the end of November when I made some really big changes in my life. But it doesn't mean I haven't been existing. And so I've recently been channeling quite a bit of messages for my own personal use, which I do think can actually help a lot of you out there on your journey. Now, the biggest thing that's been coming up lately is this idea and concept of unconditional love. Everyone thinks they know what it is and all these types of things, but really love is an energy, and love is how we express that energy. But I think that people need to understand that love comes without judgment and love comes without expectation. Now, those are two of the hardest things to let go of in order to allow your life to move forward in a joyful way. And so we need to really look at that and explore it. How do we not judge? How do we continue on and carry out the energy of love and putting it out there for other people to be able to encounter, to see, to feel, to explore consciously and subconsciously. And it's really by bringing conscious awareness to our actions and whether or not they are loving. And how do we know if they are loving? Are actions coming from a place of kindness without expectation attached to them? You know, are we doing all of our things that actually feel best to us when we interact with others? Are those interactions feeling good for us? Do they help others to feel good? Are we leaving the people better than how we found them? And it's not just about people, it's about belongings as well. Are we leaving material items better than we found them, or at least the way that we found them? We're not taking anything from them, just the same as people. Are we, bringing out the best in people? Those are all traits on ways you can gauge whether or not you're acting from a place of unconditional love. It's so interesting to me because there are quite a few differences in opinions and ideas and concepts that are out in the world. And one that I've actually really been looking at is society as a whole and some of the things that we've allowed to go on and be passed off as okay. Um, and I'm just going to use what we perceive as romantic partnership or lifelong commitment partners as an example. And I think I've talked about this on my show before, maybe not, I'm not sure, but I had a conversation with a really great friend named Kelly. I don't know, probably about 6 or 8 months ago, and we were just discussing. I was speaking with her. She's a mentor for me in the sense of pushing me with my spiritual abilities and really using them to help others. And I said to her, the world just hurts me. I just don't understand how it operates. And she said, yes, but what can you do to help that? And somehow the conversation got into the masculine and feminine energies and how masculine energies really have been taken over by ego. Why is that? And why have people bought into that? So a great example of this is if a man stands outside a woman's window and professes or declares his undying love for her and says he's not leaving until she comes out and speaks with him, crowds will form, people will cheer him on, and people will think it is the most chivalrous, romantic, amazing act ever. But if the roles were reversed and a woman stood at the bottom of a window and did exactly the same thing, crowds would form, but they wouldn't be cheering her on. They would be telling her to quit making a mockery out of herself and quit making a scene, and she'd be viewed as crazy or psychotic, excuse me, and someone would probably call the police. How did we get there? If someone is declaring their love for somebody, why is it okay for men but not okay for women? If it feels right for you, why should other people be judging it? And, where did it come to this point where men can do things and women can't do things and it's different? Why did women allow themselves to become so complacent to the fact that they're not allowed to make big gestures of love? I know that for me personally, I'm very expressive when it comes to when I love anything or anyone, whether it's romantically, platonically, familially, um, business-wise, and the intensity of the energy that I give off really scares people. And that in turn is hard for me to see because I don't understand why people don't want to receive that. We have turned ourselves into a society that is offended by the purity of love because we haven't actually been practicing it. We haven't actually been displaying it. We haven't been formed to grow up with it. And so people shy away from me because I am so big with it and open with it. And it makes it hard. And I spend a lot of years stuffing that down. And on the other side of that is I'm very blunt and open and honest when it comes to sharing truths that may be hard to hear. So they're intense for others to receive. But I just don't feel like not expressing those feel good things. It's not good for me to hold them in, but I also need to help to teach the world. I believe it's my job to help to teach the world that there is a better way to feel great. And it's if we openly share the energy and the vibration of love. So that's kind of how I feel about that. And when we share love and are open to receiving it, it adds joy to our lives and it can help to add joy to everyone else's. So that's kind of just something that's been coming up big for me, and I've really been watching and observing and have really opened my awareness to how much the world has created rights and wrongs on love and how love should look and when it should look a certain way and why and who and where and when love is okay. But love is always okay. And so I think it's really important that we always remember that. I'm currently putting together another Talking to the Universe workshop, which I will be running out of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan in March, which I'm really looking forward to. I'm also in the process of actually helping to do a final edit on a book that a friend of mine is publishing, I believe in sometime in April. And I've invited her to be a guest on the show here so she can share with her book once it's published. So that'll be really exciting. It's an amazing book. And I can't wait for all of you to learn about it. What else have I been up to? I've been actively booking guests for the show here. I have some amazing guests coming up especially ones that are involved in the spiritual world, over this next year. So that's looking quite exciting. And yeah, so just for anyone new who's hopped into the show and is wondering, Richard Gordon from Quantum Touch has not connected with us. I'm not sure what happened, as I did confirm on Tuesday that this was happening and got a positive response that he would be here. So I apologize for anyone who has logged into the show or is listening to the podcast expecting to find him here, but such is life. Anyone watching has any topics they'd like me to touch on, please pop them into the chat and we will look at those. I'm actually, my guides are chattering in my ear, so I'm just trying to see what it is they want me to speak about next. I think I'm going to tackle a little bit of a topic around fear. A lot of shifting and changing has been happening on the planet here for everyone. I mean, we can all take a look around at our outside world and people don't really like change. We just had a lunar blue blood moon eclipse on January 31st, and it was a full moon lunar eclipse. And this was a really big full moon for releasing and bringing in change. And we are having a partial solar eclipse on February 15th, which is actually, and it's a new moon also, which is actually very positive and is like a new beginning. So it's almost like this year starts around February 15th. So I just want to talk a bit about that and some of the things that are happening. So the lunar eclipse is really important because the lunar is connected to divine feminine energies. So that may have removed people from your life, connected to feminine energy. So not necessarily a female person, but most likely it is. But it may be thoughts, beliefs, ideas, or values that have been passed down to you from other females. They may be beliefs, ideas, or values around what feminine energy should look like. Even beliefs, values, or ideas around what love should look like if you're a female in this lifetime. So there will be a lot of shifting and changing with that. Now, the solar eclipse, which is also a new moon, is going to bring in positive change around masculine energies. So maybe males in your life. I don't feel that this solar eclipse is really about removing males particularly from your life. It's also just a partial eclipse, but so for me it's about transforming any energies that have been blocking divine masculine energies from operating at their best during this portion of their life. So we'll want to look out for that. The solar eclipse on the 15th is bringing in really great change. It should bring in some really positive changes for people in their life. We probably experienced change in a different form from the full moon lunar eclipse. And, it may have felt a little bit like a loss, or you may have shed emotions that felt a little bit like a loss, but this solar eclipse should be bringing in change that's new and good and helps for you to feel like you're gaining confidence and growth and moving forward. So it will be a positive one. Now, with that comes fear. And so I always teach in my coaching sessions that fear is actually has a wonderful acronym of false evidence appearing real. Now we need to remember that everything in the 3D world is an illusion. So everything we see, we created that illusion. It's not always true what's happening on the surface. And a lot of times people, and I mean, we have to get into that a little bit deeper to really connect with the spiritual aspect of it and understand energies. But we need to understand that there's a 3D world and there's a 5D world. And what we see on 3D is only partial to what is going on. And so that would be why I struggle a little bit with people, because I'm very connected to the 5D. So I see what's really happening underneath, but then the physical validation in the 3D world kind of gets me all confused, because I just don't understand why people don't work through things quite as fast, or why they're not connecting to the 5D. So, and I mean, that's part of the journey, that's part of their soul's growth, and that's part of my journey, is to accept that people are at a different part on their journey. But just so everyone understands a little bit of that. Oh, my producer just wrote in the chat here, I found the recent effects made a cleansing in a mental and physical way, and an opportunity to move forward. And is that correct? It is very much correct, Sprinkles. That is very, very correct. Actually, Sprinkles and I, my producer, had a conversation earlier today around that little statement, and it is very much true. I didn't quite go into this kind of detail with her about the eclipse and those types of things, but yes, that would actually solidify and give you some validation to the conversation we had earlier. That's exactly what happened for you. So, all right, well, I'm going to hop off for a break for 5 minutes, and then I'll come back on the other side of the break, and we'll have a little bit more of a chit chat, and I'll see if I can find out what happened to our guest while I'm having a break, and I'll see you guys all soon.
See the ocean, how it sways in the sun, keeping our stories in its motion. Lies the truth about us. Things time will tell, we might never know. We'll be gone before it all begins. Send me your songs of tomorrow. I'm dying to know it all. Stories of joy and of sorrow. I'm dying to know it all. To know it all.
they're keeping our stories. And when we're older, they will still stand tall. Things time will tell, we might never know. We'll be gone before it all begins. Send me your songs of tomorrow. I'm dying to know it all. Stories of joy and of sorrow. I'm dying to know it all. Send me your songs of tomorrow. I'm dying to know it all. Stories of joy and of sorrow. I'm dying to know it all. To know it all.
Off the Cuff E-zine, an online magazine that is given out freely. The wide range of promotional is unlimited. We take pride in bringing it all together for you. And we recognize that it is hard to reach a lot of people by just having a website, or even those writers that do not have the means to advertise or have a website. This website will provide its free services of advertising and giving others a platform to share their experiences, skills, and ability. For we believe that it is through others we learn not only of others but of ourselves as well. So, if you need a chat room to hold sessions, we can provide that with audio and video for classes, workshops, or just single sessions. Contact us to see what we can provide with our special features and promotional experience. And it is all free. Yes, free. Join us and meet other like-minded people, because that is what makes OTC the place to be. E-zine.com. Kendra.
Welcome back to the Surprise Your Spirit show, everyone. I am Kendra from Surprise Your Spirit. We're just back from the half point break. For anyone who is just joining us, I would like to just let you know that I know I had it advertised that Richard Gordon from Quantum Touch would be joining us this evening. And as I explained earlier on in the show, I'm not sure what happened, as his appearance was confirmed on Tuesday, and he has not been in touch with me, so I'm not quite sure what happened this evening. And so I apologize to anyone who was expecting to hear from him and hear his interview, as I was extremely excited to speak with him and talk about quantum touch and share about the healing modality. But in case anyone is just a little bit curious about quantum touch, I'll give you a place to go, and we'll see if maybe we can try to rebook him on the show and find out what happened here. But so Richard Gordon is the founder of Quantum Touch. He is considered a pioneer in the field of energy medicine, and he has some best-selling books such as Quantum Touch, The Power to Heal. It's printed in 17 languages, and Your Healing Hands, The Polarity Experience is also a best-selling book, printed in 10 languages. Now, he does have a new book out, and his newest book is called The Secret Nature of Matter. So if anyone's curious about quantum touch and what it has to offer, please check out his books. I have personally come in contact with Quantum Touch, The Power to Heal. Um, I actually have seen the book, Your Healing Hands, The Polarity Experience, but I haven't actually read it myself personally. You can follow Quantum Touch at Twitter, and you can check out their YouTube site at www.youtube.com/quantum touch and see what else you can find out about it. I'm not going to get into too much depth about what I know about it, as I would like to have that conversation with him. But if anyone is following and wanted to learn a little bit more about Quantum Touch, this is a way to do it. And then watch the show to see if we can rearrange something to get him back here to join us. So, we were talking about fear prior to the break. And I was just saying that fear is really false evidence appearing real. And the other thing about fear that we really want to look at and recognize and acknowledge is that a lot of times people will actually mistake fear. It's actually excitement in disguise, is how I would best describe it. So a lot of times we allow our egos or our brains to logicalize the energy of excitement and turn it into fear. And that would be your ego kicking in and trying to stop us in our tracks from having and enjoying a joyful moment. So we will hold back and not fully engage. Now, the other thing we need to talk about, because people are like, well, if there's a man with a knife chasing me, I'm afraid. Yeah, but the energy you're sensing isn't fear. You're sensing danger. There's a difference. So fear is just kind of an excuse for everything when we don't actually really want to look at the energy that is actually there. We don't want to look at the energy that we're aware of. We just automatically revert to fear, and it becomes kind of an excuse to acknowledge the energy that we're aware of that is existing in the moment. So I hope that makes sense for people. But a lot of time when we are actually, have converted an awareness of an energy into fear, it's actually because we're excited about something, because we're not sure what this experience could actually add to our life, where it could take us, where it could take us to. And it's usually because it's taking us to somewhere full of joy, and our ego does not want us to experience that in any way, shape, or form. So we have the concept of, ego versus spirit, God versus the devil, good versus bad, ugly versus beauty, all of those types of things. And when we talk in terms of ego versus spirit, anytime there's something that's exciting, that has an unknown outcome, we're not sure where it's going to go, where it's going to take us, our ego will revert that energy into fear, when in reality it's just exciting. So when you meet people who are extremely spontaneous and they just embrace the moment and really live in that energy, those are the types of people who really, really can squash ego and tell them, like, no, this is adding joy to my life. You need to take a back seat. I'm going to do this. I can do this. And they may not necessarily have that conversation in their head, but they have already reprogrammed their brain and their logicalness, or reprogrammed their ego, that they need to take a back seat because joy is more important to them, and having the experience is more important to them. Now, with having said that, people who practice too much spontaneity and don't have a good balance can actually, in a sense, then overlook that sensing of the energies too far the other way. So, we have fear on the one hand, but then we have the obliviousness of thinking maybe we're invincible and we're unable to sense danger or consequences that could arrive from spontaneous actions. So we have to find a really good balance and learn how to look at energies, trust what we're knowing, but also be honest um, with with what we're feeling as well, instead of just turning everything into fear, or thinking that we're invincible. So I hope that that helps everyone a little bit look at fear a little differently moving forward, and understanding, like, ask yourself, okay, I'm afraid. What am I afraid of? Is there anything to be afraid of? You know, if it's afraid of what people think, who cares? Who cares what people are going to think? And I know that that's a really hard thing to overcome and master, because we all don't want to be judged. But when it comes down to it, you're only judging yourself if you're worried that others are judging you. So, because you're judging them for judging you. So if you just didn't judge them for judging you and you just went about your merry way, you wouldn't even have to experience that or have those thoughts or worry about what they were thinking about you. And I'm not going to tell anyone it's easy, because it's not. It's something that I really struggle with, because I find that the world is extremely judgmental, and I'm still human and I'm having a human experience here, and I'm sure I do it. But I try to be consciously aware to not judge others and to allow them to live out their journey the way that they see fit, and that the way they need to, in order to experience the amount of soul's growth that they need to have on their journey here, in order to help them to, step into a higher vibration, to live a life that is closer to one of unconditional love, to, permanent happiness, permanent joy. And so really practicing not judging, but just remembering we are the biggest critics of ourselves, more so than anyone else. And so when we look at fear, now hand in hand with fear is anxiety. Anxiety is tough. Now the thing about anxiety is that a lot of times anxiety is harbored fear. So anxiety is fear energy that we haven't released, and it's just built up and built up and built up, and then it starts to affect our body. So when we don't acknowledge fear, or we don't acknowledge excitement, and we just store it and store it and store it, and don't do anything with it, and don't look at it, and don't try to use it to help to guide us where we need to be going, because really, quote unquote fear, because really fear isn't fear, is a compass for us. It makes us uncomfortable, so we need to push ourselves and look at where we need to push ourselves. What is it trying to teach us? What do we need to look at? We want to use that, and that's what anxiety is built up fear. And acknowledging what it is we're afraid of and releasing that energy. So when we look at it, we really have to look at it and be honest with it, whether it's, I'm afraid to try a new job because this one offers so much stability, or I'm afraid to move houses because what if it's not a good neighborhood, or all of these types of excuses that we make up to stop us from moving forward in our life. Me personally, I crave change, and I actually seek it probably more often than others, and my mom has a really hard time with it. She actually quite often says, how she kind of admires me that I just move here, move there, do this, do that, and she doesn't understand how I cope and adapt that well. But when energy gets stagnant for me, I then tend to get low because it lowers my vibration. When I'm not experiencing new experiences and I'm not experiencing new energy, it tends to hurt me, and my levels of joy, it's harder for me to connect with joy energy. So now I create that newness for myself, and it's by moving. And moving isn't because I'm running from things, it's because I'm re-cleansing and refreshing my energy, or because the universe is pushing me there, because there are people or places or situations that, you know, I need to learn from, or I need to teach others about. And so we need to recognize that also. What is it we're fearing? Staying in a job for too long, you know, when it's not helping you. Why do we do that? Um, I currently left a job for a temporary position. I left 15 years of seniority, benefits, you know, to take a mat leave elsewhere. And I resigned. You didn't even take a leave. So, and people are quite concerned, like, how could you do that? And why would you do that? And I have a lot of conversations, but my heart was pulling me and spirit was guiding me there. And so, you know, I often say to people, what does seniority get you? Other than if there's a job posted internally, you get that position, dibs on that first position if you have the most seniority. Or you get first vacation, but I work in healthcare, and you're lucky if you get any vacation, whether you have seniority or not. So, you know, what is that seniority actually providing me with for me to be able to say I'm number whatever on the seniority list? That's not actually adding stability to my life, you know, or security, but least of all, staying somewhere that isn't feeding your soul isn't helping either. So you really need to listen. If you take a chance and follow your heart and follow spirit and where it's guiding you and face your fear, the universe will support you. You know, people say, oh my goodness, like, what are you going to do next December when your job is over? Man, it's February. December is a long way away, I tell people. The universe is lining something up. Like, it's going to be okay. I'm not too concerned about it. And people are just, excuse me, up in arms over what I'm going to do. And that just goes to show how other people really want to meddle too much in other people's business instead of look at their own. And they want to form opinion and form judgment. And that's what we teach as a society. So really looking at those fears is important. It's a way that I've learned to adapt and to move, because I'm so sensitive to energies. I crave the change, but it can be very hard on me because it takes me a really long time to sift through energies and figure out which people I can connect with, who can have my time, where I can fit in, where my you know, where my social aspect in life can be. It takes me quite a bit of time to figure that out, because I really have to filter the energies and tap in and be honest with myself about what's draining me, what's not draining me, what I can do, what I can't do. And every time I start somewhere new, it's new. So I have to be honest about fear and anxiety. What's causing it? What haven't I looked at? What haven't I acknowledged? You know, what are these energies trying to tell me? And get in tune with those types of things. And that's what I would like to encourage everyone else to do. It's that inner work that can help you to grow and be more of you and experience more of who you are and what you're supposed to experience on your journey here. So having said that, I just want to follow up and let everyone know what will be coming in the weeks to come. I do have a guest on next week, and her name is Diane Garris. She is a new age recording artist, and she also, I do believe, taps into the Akashic Records. So we'll be discussing Akashic Records. So anyone who is interested in that, I would highly recommend that you hop onto the show and listen to that. I will also be having on March 1st, did I miss the week here? On February 22nd, I'll be having Dr. Saida Daisley. We'll be talking about sexual sovereignty in women. And then on March 1st, I'll be having Brent Phillips. And these will all be listed for you guys soon. And then I'll be also having a guest, Belle Salisbury, on the 8th of March, and guest Reverend Tiffany White on the 15th of March. And I'll be having Alicia Cook will be joining me on March 29th. And I'll probably be doing a free reading there at some point. And just to let everyone else know, on the 23rd of February, I will be joining Barbara Reynolds on her show on Friday morning. I think it's Good Morning with Jesus, maybe. I'll have to get the name out for you guys. If you want to join Barbara and I live on her show, you can catch me there. I will also be doing a pre-recorded show with a dear, wonderful dear soul from the UK, whom I've had a bit of interaction with over the past 6 to 8 months. Her name is Nikki. She's going to be Nikki. Her last name is drawing a blank for me, but she's going to be joining me, and we're going to be talking a little bit about twin flames, the twin flame journey, the job of twin flames, what she does on her YouTube channel, what she can help you with, and that unconditional love piece. She's an amazing inspiration, and I often will tap into or tune into her YouTube channel just to really have some refreshers about unconditional love and pick up some of the wonderful, amazing energy that she has. Nikki also has a Divine Love crystal grid, which she has members on this crystal grid from all over the world. And when you join the crystal grid, she sends you out a piece of rose quartz that has been charged by that crystal grid. And it's quite a good chunk size of rose quartz. So I'm a member of that crystal grid, and I would, encourage anyone who wants to be a part of a crystal grid that is charged with unconditional love energy to check her out and check out her show. But due to our time difference and our scheduling, my producer and I are going to pre-record Nikki's show. So I don't know, Sprinkles, are we going to air that live during the day, or are we just going to play it in place one evening? I'm just waiting for a confirmation on that. So I would really highly recommend everyone stay tuned, as I have some really great people joining me over the next few months, and some other great things coming up as well. I've been trying to get back on to Facebook to do some daily card reads. It just isn't working with my schedule at the moment. I'm trying to figure out a way to get back there, so I hope everyone will be patient with me. Also, my recording equipment for doing the recorded readings on video has been broken for quite some time, and I just haven't been able to replace it because it's going to require a new computer and all these sorts of things. So it's not just a tiny expense, it's something I'm trying to figure out to see if I can make something else work that would be less of an expense for me. So as I do that, I ask people to just be a little bit patient. Um, yeah. So, and I also know that a lot of people have really enjoyed and requested the pick a crystals thing that I was doing shortly before leaving for Christmas, where you would pick a crystal the night before and get the daily message the next morning. I'm also working on bringing that back. I had really hoped to be back doing daily card reads in February, as well as the pick a crystal messages, but it just hasn't jived with my schedule yet. So I'm getting there. I am getting there. I can feel it's coming. So we'll aim for March. Maybe it'll be sooner, maybe it won't, but we'll see what happens. And so I want to thank everyone for staying on and hanging in there for tonight's show, even though Richard could not join us. But I hope you will stay tuned and catch him on his show when if we can try to book him again, as I know there's a lot of great information on quantum touch that I'd really like to share with everyone, especially since I'm often, approached to talk about how I do healing. But when I do energy healing, I use a little bit of different things, and I've kind of formed my own healing technique. So I can't really share it because depending on the person's energy depends on how I run my healing session. But quantum touch is, something that people can learn to add to what they already know. So once again, thank you all for joining me. I hope you will join me next week with guest Diane Garris and see what she can teach us. And I hope that all of you have a wonderful weekend and a really great weekend. We will talk to you all next Thursday. Have a great evening.